Be excellent to each other and party on. We're back for another Legacy League, and today we've got a heater. This is Grixis Tempo, a very light red splash, which we're going to talk about. But this deck is by Mr. Usea, and he got 2 trophies back-to-back with it. He's a very accomplished blue-black tempo player, and he's opted to splash red here. So we're doing the same. We're playing his exact 75, which pretty much jives with my sensibilities anyway. So he has this Molten Collapse card in here, which choose one. If you descended this turn, you may choose both instead. Destroy target creature or planeswalker, or destroy target non-creature, non-land permanent with mana value 1 or less. So that's 1 black, 1 red, sorcery speed card. But let's think about it. It's very easy to descend. Essentially, you just have to have a permanent go to your graveyard. So a fetch land, a Mishra's Bauble, a creature, anything really. And then you can get both effects. And let's talk about what that does. First, destroy target creature or planeswalker. That's pretty powerful. Kaito's in the format. You know, you've got Atraxa in the format. You've got lots of really powerful creatures and planeswalkers that you can kill this way. And you can also potentially destroy target non-land, non-creature permanent with mana 1 or less. Well, that's Carpet of Flowers, which is a big thorn in the side of tempo decks. That is a Flip Tamio. That is a Chalice of the Void. This clears a lot of things. And so we're using this essentially in place of Brazen Borrower 2. And it doubles as being in place of a mediocre kill spell like Shoot the Sheriff or Go for the Throat. That's like 2 mana to kill a creature, but it has some conditions associated with it. So this is pretty much a strict upgrade. The fact that it's sorcery speed is a little bit of a downside, but I'm very excited about this. And is it worth putting a Badlands in your deck and a Volk to be able to support this card alone? Probably not, but you get a lot of very cool sideboard cards for this. Let's go through them. You get 3 Pyroblast. These are very good against kind of blue soup mirrors, control decks. Very good against Omnitel. And you get a Meltdown. This is strong against any artifact heavy strategy, Painter, certainly against Karnforge, and a second Molten Collapse in the sideboard. So those are our 6 red spells in the deck. And aside from that, we're just playing really good blue-black tempo. We have a couple baubles in here. These not only help us flip Tamio ahead of schedule, but they also give us a little bit of information. We can manipulate what we're drawing a little bit. And these buff Nethergoyf, which is our main aggressor here. We also have 2 Murktides. We went down to 3 Wastelands and 3 Dazes to accommodate the extra color, the splash. But I'm hopeful that that won't be too big of a deal. Oh, and we have the 4 Bowmasters. Don't leave home without them right now. They're so strong if you're playing tempo. I don't know that he's a main deck option in control decks. I usually put my Bowmasters in the side, but if you're playing tempo, you definitely want to have all 4 Bowmasters main deck if you're on black. So I think this is going to be very strong. I'm expecting to win a lot of these matches, and I'm expecting to really showcase the power of disrupting with Daze, with Thoughtseize, and with lots of good creature kill, and getting Kaito on the table, beating bigger control decks thanks to Kaito, and potentially interacting with lots of combo decks using these 3 Hydroblasts, 3 Pyroblasts. And again, we do have a little bit of graveyard interaction here. We've got Grafdigger's Cage, which is a nombo with Nethergoyf. As I always have to point out, I like just going 3 Nile Spell Bombs, but I'm going to respect Mr. Usea's decision. Clearly 2 trophies in a row. He knows what he's doing. And we got the 2 Barragoyfs as backup win cons, and then the 2 Force of Negations just for those really fast combo matchups. That's the 75. Let's dive into a league. All right, round 1. We're up against a likely Lands player. This is not a great matchup, but we do have a pretty good hand. We can get our basic island to dodge Wasteland. We have Force for their first spell. Really, you just force anything you can here. Crop Rotation is particularly strong if you want to hold it for that, but like, I'm not above forcing like a exploration. I'm not going to force that. The best thing to force is absolutely Crop Rotation because it's basically a 2 for 2. They have to sacrifice the land as part of the cost. But holding it for that may not be worthwhile when, you know, if Exploration comes out. So it is, unfortunately, we don't have any threat that we can put on the table. This is fine. Ghost Quarter. So Ghost Quarter is very scary. If they have recursion, we're basically done here. These are targets for Molten Collapse. I think if they had the Crop Rotation, they probably would have just, or the Loam, they probably would have just cast it. So I'm very glad that this dropped. Okay. This is a brick. I'm going to go ahead and just take a look at their top card. I don't see any reason to keep this. This will give us some information for when we ponder. They have a wasteland. Okay, so I'm just going to go get the island here. I'm going to be a coward, and I'm going to start pondering and filling up our graveyard for Merc. Merc is probably the best thing we can do here to win. There's a Goyf. Goyf is quite good. Daze is terrible though. So what I think we put the Daze on the bottom. We will just draw the Goyf here, and then next turn we can maybe fetch. Shuffle away that Daze. Daze is a terrible card against lands in general. They may play around it. Oh, I'm going to draw it anyway. Because I used the bauble. Well, we can pitch it to force because it's a blue card. That's the floor of any blue card. This is going to be an uphill battle for sure. I'm not going to force that one. I may force subsequent ones. This is pretty scary. I think we just have to Merc, and we have to hope that we can beat them down before they dig to anything. But like Loam is going to be going. So we have seen all our cards. I'm just going to ponder. Really, I'm just looking for Murktide. I don't think these cards are good enough. We're going to need this land eventually, but I don't want to draw more Dazes. Brainstorms. Kaito. If we get a turn to attack, Kaito is great, but I don't think we're going to get a turn to attack. If they somehow give us a window to like Daze this back to our hand before wasting us, I will, but I seriously doubt that's going to happen. So they have Yavimaya and Ancient Tomb now. It is difficult to overestimate or overstate how powerful Kaito is against land strategies, but we're just never going to get to 2 lands. Yeah, here goes all our mana. Okay, thank goodness they tapped that. So at least we get like to use some of our mana here. I could have dazed this back to hand. I don't think that's correct because they have the Mox of Pay. So what we can do is we can start playing out these with the hope of, because they can only kill 1 land a turn. They haven't, but with the Ghost Quarter, assuming they use it, they may presume that we have a swamp, so they may not use Ghost Quarter. We're actually playing a variant that doesn't have the swamp. We don't have an instant in the yard. Is it worth putting an instant in there? There's nothing to target with this Fatal Push. I probably could have pondered first, just in case I found a Brainstorm and then just brainstormed. I did see a Brainstorm on that ponder that I shuffled, so that's on me. There's a Merc. I think we need Merc pretty desperately if we want to survive. Merc is our path to quick kill. There is an option here that it's not a good option. I don't want to shuffle away this Merc. I'm going to take this, and we're just going to chill with this land up. And then next turn, we can deploy the Merc. Merc is going to eat a lot of our graveyard. Hopefully, I'm trying to think of what we can do here other than just lose all our lands. Yeah, next turn, they can kill both of our lands. They can't kill this because fetch lands are overpowered. They could, in theory, please don't activate that Ghost Quarter. Please just assume we have a swamp in our deck. I could Fatal Push, hold priority Daze. I think I probably actually have to do that, sadly, if they Ghost Quarter, because I'm going to need all these lands. This puts an instant in the yard, too. They're going to waste this land, but that's okay. That actually does mean that we're never going to get our second land online, because they can just play. Yeah, hopefully. But they're doing nothing but targeting our stuff. So it's very important. I just need to double check and make sure the setting is correct here. If you're curious what my input bindings are, I have a very ergonomic, well thought out thing, and I like shift instead of control. It's just easier to hold shift because I hold shift all day when I'm like typing all caps, screaming at myself in my journal for making punts. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I am going to put black in the pool. I'm going to hold down shift, and if this does not work for some reason, I am going to freak out, but I am holding priority here, and now I am dazing this land back to my hand. And I am not going to pay for it because I don't want to actually kill my creature. I don't have mana to pay for it anyway. This is just like an old school, save your land for later trick. No. So we are going to be hitting for 4 now, and we did fizzle their Ghost Quarter. There's the Wasteland. They are not letting up here. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll just swing for 4 here. We'll play this out. They're not going to be able to waste it. And then subsequent turn, this is the crop rot. This is precisely what I was saying about, this is the 2-for-1 you want. Kaito, thank you for your services. All right. Now, they are very low resource. We may be able to tempo them. Thoughtseize is a good rip. Is it? We can't cast it because that puts us vulnerable to Wasteland, and I really do want this Murk out. I'm just going to play this out, and I'm going to come in. This Bobble that we did turn 1 is like already done like 3 damage to them. This Bobble is a legit option in these Nethergoyf type decks. I do have 2 dazes, and I don't quite have enough to preserve the full power of the Nethergoyf and deploy the Murk. It's just a matter of time before they get a Maze Vith online or Tabernacle or something like that to go after our creatures. There's Yavimaya. Rumble. We'll see what they find. I don't see a Maze Vith. They chose Urza Saga. Urza Saga is going to be too slow, I think. I think we're going to be able to get in. They can block with this. I'm going to go ahead and surveil. That goes into our yard. That is very good for us because now Murk can be full size without taking away from Nethergoyf's glory. All right. We're going to go ahead and... I'll come in. I'm pretty sure they're going to block here. This does deny them a mana when they're kind of tight on mana if they block. Okay, they are blocking. It's fine. Blue. This is either a nightmare for you or this is not that big of a deal. 1, 2. Okay, so I want to get rid of Fatal Push. I want to get rid of this Force. Fatal Push might actually be useful later. Yeah, so this should leave Murk full size and Nethergoyf full size. Perfect. They're on a 2-turn clock, assuming they can't continually produce blockers or get a Maze Vith going. Now, going after our lands is not such an appetizing proposition. And we may be able to... Meltdown's going to be really good against their deck. I'm looking forward to boarding that in for sure. Because we're a 3-color deck, we don't get to play the best card against lands, which is Harbinger of the Sea. So they got Talon Gates, Urza Saga, Rumble. Talon Gates can be flashed in, but if they phase our creature out, we just get it right back. So it's not very good here. They can get Urza Saga online, but it's going to be so slow, and it doesn't address the 8/8 flyer hitting them in the face. I would never have guessed that we would actually be potentially in this when they Mox Diamond dropping a Ghost Quarter against our 1 basic land deck. But here we are. It's worth noting that since they loamed, that's like a crop rotation. They didn't get to potentially draw because they didn't draw for the turn. And crop rotation is the scariest thing they can do because they could get Tabernacle. It is fun to be on this side of the table, trying to watch them solve the puzzle. Because usually I'm trying to solve the puzzle against them. There's the crop rotation. Okay. So now they've got Maze Vith and they've just bought themselves a tremendous amount of time. If we rip a Wasteland, that's great. It'll give us a free attack with Murk. But that's really all it'll give us, unfortunately. They do have a land drop here. So they could go get an Urza Saga and get that cooking. Urza Saga, importantly, as long as my Murktide is on the table, they're not going to be able to attack in profitably with constructs. They're on Lava Spur Boots instead of Shadow Spear, so they're not going to be able to gain life or anything. But they can, they would get 2 constructs, and then they would also get, they seem to be going, let's see if they waste here. Oh, did they already make the land drop? Maybe they did. Waste would be great. Nethergoyf, it's scary because they could Tabernacle here. I definitely think Goyf number 2 is better than Tamio. I could play both, but that really plays hard into... we can create clues and that can draw us to a Wasteland. Do we think we're even going to get a chance to draw cards off of this? I'm going to go ahead and attack, and I am going to just drop a Goyf and just pass. I'm not going to play out the Tamio because if we find a Brainstorm, she goes back. I just don't think we're going to have the mana to cash in clues. And flipping her is just not going to happen. Even if we flipped her, it's going to be slow. So now we're going to probably scoop to a resolved Tabernacle if they have a way of getting that in. They're not dead on board. The clock is much more important to us than it is to them in this matchup because they can just totally bully you on clock with Tabernacle. It takes forever to resolve all the Tabernacle triggers every turn. So you can be really far ahead, but just not have time to close the game because they can stay alive with cards like Maze Vith, Tabernacle. I'd be stunned if we keep our Underground Sea here. But if you think about it, like they're under so much pressure. Oh, there's a line. There's a line. We Thoughtseize ourselves and we can kill them. We Thoughtseize the creature out of our hand and then Netherglyphs are lethal. Let's do it. And then we go to combat. Yeah, I would be so embarrassed if I didn't see that line, if I gave them an extra turn. Because they can like copy Maze Vith and do lots of other stuff to make our lives miserable. They may still be in it. They may have a crop rotation or something that I don't know about. They do have 4 mana. No, yeah, they could have actually phased out one of them. They could have tapped it, but they couldn't have done that and mazed. Okay, never mind. Upset victory there. Molten Collapse doesn't belong. I mean, it can hit like 1-drops and stuff, but I just don't think it's good. Nile Spellbomb. This is a situation where Nile Spellbomb is infinitely better than Grafdigger's Cage. And again, I strongly encourage people. I know Grafdigger's Cage is good, but like consider playing multiple Nile Spellbombs. I'm staying true to. There will be situations like if we get paired into a Greenstone Zenith deck where we'll want to bring this in, but like this is so synergistic with Goyf. So I think Thoughtseize is pretty terrible against their deck, but Daze is even worse. Daze on the play might be okay. So we are bringing in the Meltdown. That is great. Barragoyf, it's very hard to get to 3 mana. I don't think we bring it in. Now Spellbomb comes in. And Barragoyf, they do have like little chump dinguses that they can throw in front, such as the Eldrazi spawns. This is the best card if we can ever get it out. It's a big ask. We're on the play, so Thoughtseize is not atrocious. I do think Daze is probably something we want to cut. It's just, it always feels bad against them. And then that's perfect, right? We keep the Thoughtseize. Next turn, next game, maybe we board these out. Molten Collapse could kill like a creature and it could kill a Mox, so it is potentially a 2-for-1. But I just don't want to proactively have to grab red. I'm only going to grab red if I explicitly have like a Meltdown in hand. Let's dance. This hand freaking rocks. This is an awesome hand. I didn't board out the Fatal Pushes. Oh no, that was a punt. The Fatal Pushes definitely should have come out. That was bad. So we have the option of just getting Tamiyo down. I kind of like getting Tamiyo down first. The reason is we can play Island. They only have 1 Ghost Quarter. Fatal Push is going to suck. It's not going to be very good. Like we might be able to take out a Construct with it, but I would much rather have these be Molten Collapses probably, just because Molten Collapse can go after like Mox Diamonds and, you know, different artifacts they may put out. It can go after, it's like a way in black and red that you can actually kill an enchantment, which is pretty cool because otherwise we'd have no way that we could kill Exploration. Not that you really want to kill Exploration. By the time it's come in and they put an extra land in, it's not really worth killing it after that. Mox on the stack. Pitching the Tabernacle. Okay, just showing us face up that they have the Nightmare card. This might be a very short match. Rumble. Okay, and this card is so great in lands because not only does it help them find land, like almost all their deck is permanents. So it's like just choose the best of 4 cards, but you can also put a Loam in the yard. Thankfully, it did not do that. They chose a Wasteland. Okay, so face up card that we have to worry about. So I'm definitely going to be leading with this Tamiyo so as not to subject. Yeah, I don't think Thoughtseize is great here. I definitely want to get on board with Tommy. They don't have Wasteland Recursion yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get Kaito on the table. Kaito is extremely difficult for them to deal with. Fatal Push may actually be important for keeping Kaito alive. I'm going to go ahead and attack. I am going to bobble them. I'm not going to try to flipper. Because I want to be able to attack. Okay, so we could just feed the Wasteland to them. Yeah, unfortunately, we can bobble ourselves and just see whether we're going to draw a land here. But unfortunately, this coming into play tapped means that, yeah, we're not going to be able to, because this is a next turn draw. I think I do want to see, if it's a land, that's great, and I won't shuffle. If it's not a land, I'll probably shuffle because I don't want this Undercity Sewers to mess up me arriving at Kaito in time. Bowmasters just isn't good enough. I want to shuffle that away. I think I'm actually going to Undercity Sewers now and just get this bad card out of the way. And then we're going to bin this Bowmasters, which is of marginal value against them. This does make Goyf bigger when he arrives in like 2 turns. I'm almost certain we're going to get wasted here. There's the first construct. We could get beaten down by constructs. That is definitely a possibility. We drew Brainstorm, which is good, but we can't cast it right now because Tamio will get attacked to death. They might get Pithy Needle, Lava Spur. Okay, so we're taking a ton of damage. Massive damage. If they waste this, then I'm probably going to have to get a freaking Fatal Push because we're under so much pressure now. Okay, so we're taking 9. That's a lot of damage. Okay. So what I think I do... I mean, how sick would Meltdown be? Meltdown would be insane here. Yeah, we're losing that land for sure. I could Meltdown. I wouldn't be able to get rid of the boots, but I'd get rid of everything else. So the question here is, do we do the Imperfect Brainstorm because we're just so under the gun here? I think I'm going to take a draw. And that way I can create a clue. Tamio will serve as a distraction after we Brainstorm here. Kaito, unfortunately, is probably just going to be Force of Will fodder. Yeah, this is pretty bad. If they don't have a Wasteland, we could bring out the Kaito. So we could push one of these, and then the damage on Tamio would not be... I'm going to dream. I'm gonna be bold. I'm going to dream that Kaito can come out. I'm going to shuffle. I'm going to get a Badlands. I know that might seem crazy, but if we draw Meltdown, it's so good. They're probably going to waste this land anyway. We've got a Underground Sea here. We're revealing our other color, probably to the surprise of our opponent. So they need an artifact to punch through here. Because Tamio debuffs. We have Force for crop rotation, Force for a lot of things, but if they just... I mean, dropping another Saga would be pretty catastrophic here, but it would give us time, and that's important. How good is Nethergoyf, by the way? Like this card, every time I see him in action, I'm just like, wow, I can't believe how good this card is. Interestingly, we don't have a sorcery in our graveyard, so if we ponder, we can buff Nethergoyf even bigger, but I'm definitely going to pitch Ponder to the Force rather than Kaito, since Kaito is just such a house in this matchup. We can stun one of them and we can just block the other and keep attacking and drawing cards. I know I'm like I'm talking a lot during this match. There's a lot of thinking here. So if we Force here, we buy a turn with the land and we don't want them to get that. I think we do Force here. It may seem like we're fighting a losing battle here, but time is important. Now they have their land drop. They probably have a land in hand. It is important to note that when Kaito comes in, he is going to take Nethergoyf back to my hand. They may not have good enough attacks, though. They may not attack because they don't want to lose one of their creatures to Nethergoyf. It could be... Oh, no. Maze of Ith. Well, good news about Maze of Ith. Kaito can still attack through that. Okay, I'm going to kill this one with the boots on it. So Tommy loses 3 loyalty here. Unless they... Oh, they're just going to untap. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that was a cool combat trick. We're really under the gun here. And, of course, we draw our best card in our deck. That is incredible, folks. Plus here. Yeah, this is also a sorcery that buffs. Just incredible luck. We're going to lose these clues. Do we want to cash in a clue? No. I can't. I'm just going to go like this. Red. Blue. Meltdown. For 1. Done. And then I can hit them for 5. And I have the Fatal Push-Up. That was an incredible draw. They do still have Life from the Loam, but we've got them under pressure. If they don't waste this turn, and if they choose instead to develop their board, that card, holy cow. I'm so glad that I fetched the Badlands there. That was a very heads-up play, if I can pat myself on the back. It's the only red card in our deck, I think. But it was so good. Okay, so they do not have the ability to clone this currently represented in their board. So this is where we get to do a very disgusting thing, and you're going to love it because Lands players deserve this. They're always making life miserable for me. I'll plus here. I'm going to go ahead and attack with another Goyf. They are going to maze it, which is fine. So we go to the block step. It's still unblocked. Blue, black, black, Kaito. Let's bring that back to hand. Punch our opponent in the face. Do some damage. Okay, now I'm going to fetch. I do want to surveil. I guess I could have surveilled first. I don't think it's too big of a deal. I'll grab a... No, I guess I'll grab a Valk just because I may want to recall this. Oh no, I can't replay the Nethergoyf because of the Valk. That was a punt. I apologize, my excellent friends. I am going to go ahead and surveil. Do I think it's worth surveilling here? Yeah, that was such a punt. We could have so much better of a clock now. They can't maze this, but they might be able to kill it through some other means. We can keep scaling this up. Dealing 4, then dealing 5. We can recall the Meltdown to wipe their board if they create tokens. We can stun with Kaito. My instinct is to go ahead and surveil. If we just plus and then we plus again. Yeah, I'm going to keep plussing. I'm going to be the aggressor. I don't think this game gets better for us. Yeah, I'm sorry, my excellent friends. I was given such a gift by ripping Meltdown, and I feel like I've kind of thrown it in the trash here just by fetching that card wrong. Every decision matters in Legacy at a high level. And when you're on MTGO leagues, you're playing usually high-level opponents. My opponent, I've played them a lot. They're a very good Lance player. Boseiju who endures. Okay. That doesn't do anything against us. It hits one of our lands, but we can go get another land. They build another depths. They don't have stage yet. I guess I could have aggressively surveilled to try to find a wasteland. I may still do that. Okay, Tabernacle, not a big deal. Tabernacle does affect Kaito. I'm so glad they printed Kaito. Like, Mace of Ith players need to be punished. That card is like super annoying to play against. I know it's like one of the OG cards, and it's like kind of a classical flair, like the mustache twirling Legacy. Bowmasters, not an exceptional rip. Okay, they're doing something here. I'll just flip black here, and then I'll just go find another land here. And sure, why not? I'm going to pile on some pressure. They can play the Tabernacle at next turn, but like this is damage. It is, a game object that they have to respect and interact with. I'm going to just plus here. My instinct is just keep doing as much damage as we can. I can get Meltdown back and just Meltdown next turn, but they could get Bojuka Bog. Is it worth going ahead and getting it back now? I think it probably actually is, because that just like looms over them. We've got double red. They're not going to be able to take us off that. The other thing we could do is just plus and threaten drawing half our deck. And even if they are able to remove all this stuff, I think that's probably better. Because I feel confident that if I can draw half my deck, we're good. We have a lot of pressure. Tabernacle is going to do some work, though. But there's nothing they can do to stop this. They're going to get hit for 6 next turn. They have to put a chumper out. We have a fatal push. We can regrow the Meltdown if we need to. Clear the path. This is what I was saying. Like, Kaito just completely breaks this matchup open. Normally, I'd say it's like maybe a 50-50 matchup, but Kaito makes it like a 55-45 matchup. Even if they make a Dark Depths token, it's not going to be enough. Kaito can stun, and then we fatal push the token. Like, they'd have to spend all their mana making the Dark Depths token. Exploration. Okay. Tabernacle. Wasteland. Wastelanding our land. That's fine. All right. So let's go to the turn. So Netherglyph I do want to pay for. So I have to stack. Wait. Okay. So let's do Netherglyph first. I guess it's not asking me to sequence. Yes, I would like to pay 1. I'm just trying to think about like some contingency where they could do something here. So I'm not going to pay for this one. Okay, now we're going to go to the Bowmasters. I'm not going to pay for this one. I am going to pay for this one. Okay. Now we go to the turn. Okay. I think I just minus and get force back, because that's the only thing I'm worried about. Let's see, they could crop rotate with force on the stack. I guess I could just -7 and draw my deck. Let's do that. Okay, and now we have plenty of forces and everything. I think I'm just going to plus here. So this is a lethal attack now. I'm going to play out a land that we can potentially tap. Trying to think if there's any reason to do anything else. Yeah. Now I will just attack with both. They're going to have to... So if they make a blocker here, I just push it. So the fatal push actually was important here. Good game. Wow, that felt great. 2-0. See you in the round. Next round. Round 2, we're up against an Oops All Spells player. They have always played Oops All Spells. I don't keep one-landers as a rule. However, This does have Thoughtseize in it, so we could like force their first spell, and if we draw land in the first 2 turns, I don't want to mulligan this force hand against a known Oops player. Like that's all they play. Oops all spells, like everything. Oops all spells, including like 10 days ago. I'm gonna keep this. We are on the play, so I'm just gonna bobble twice. There's a chance that we draw into another force and another blue card. Yeah, Elvish Spirit Guide. That's an Oops card. No point in bobbling myself. I'm about to see what I'm going to get anyway. Merc. Okay, that's another blue card. So do we find land? I will look like a total fool if we don't find land. I am aware of that. Merc. Nethergoyf. Okay, so we still have one more draw to find land, but if we Thoughtseize them, it's not GG, but it's like incredibly strong because they don't actually have that many win cons in the deck. So I will be forcing any sort of discard with the goal of protecting the Thoughtseize. They could have redundant win cons, but they have like 8 win cons in their deck. Odds of them having that in their opener is like, I don't know, like 16% or something. Force, pitching Merc. They can still Lotus Petal, Dark Ritual, win, but usually that gives them pause. Okay, now we need the land, please. Yes! Let's take a look at that hand. Now they're probably confused. What the heck are you playing? Oh, of course they had multiple. Well, now we sadly have to take the Dark Ritual. Oh, no. We're taking the Dark Ritual because that gives them Undercity Informer next turn. No, they have it anyway. I'm just going to concede. I don't think we're winning this. Like, I'm trying to think. We're not going to draw another card. They have Undercity Informer. We could, I guess, Fatal Push it before they have the mana. But then they just have another one. Because they can Dark Writ. Yeah, we have to take the Dark Writ, and then we get a chance to push the Undercity Informer. But they'll have 3 lands, so they'll be able to do it the subsequent turn. Yeah, I'm going to do that. All right, Desperation Mode enacted. And who knows if we mull, like, what are the odds that we're going to find a Thoughtseize force hand? They just had an insanely redundant hand. And they had the cheaper dude. The better of the two. Like, if you're going to ban one, ban the one that's like a 3 mana one, and leave the 4 mana one. And all their deck will do is they'll just put 4 Belchers in, and it'll still be an extremely powerful deck. But it won't be as powerful as it is now. And again, like, it's not me that's the only person talking about banning something out of Oops All spells. I think Thraben, you know, like, if you listen to the Eternal Glory podcast, it's like whenever Oops All spells come up, they're always like, oh, you got to ban. I'm not complaining about it. I'm playing against it. But I am saying that, like, that is probably the card I would ban if I were Wizards. Okay, and they're not going for it, which is great. This is a little bit of a window to draw a force. Or a Fatal Push. But they can just go for it next turn. Okay, this is a land. So I think we just main phase Dark Writ. Brainstorm. We might be able to take one of their lands if we find another Thoughtseize. But it doesn't really change anything too much. I'll grab an Underground Sea here. I'm going to Brainstorm first. Come on. Thoughtseize. Not that it necessarily matters. Yeah. We do find the Fatal Push. So really we're just dead. Like, I think they just have it next turn. But in the event that they try to slow roll, like play around days, I might as well put this out. They're getting more information about our deck that we don't have to give them, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. We do have a great clock if we can somehow clear this. We're drawing bricks. Bowmasters is terrible in this matchup. They just don't draw cards. They just draw a single card every turn, but it's the card they need to win, usually. So if they just play out the land, shock it out, then they have the thing, and that's very safe because if I daze, they just have another one. They have the Spirit Guide in hand to pay for the daze. But if they use the Spirit Guide and they play the land tapped, I can't imagine them ever doing that in any universe. We're definitely dead. I'll just stop talking. Okay, and they are doing precisely what I anticipated. They even have a pedal. We'll take a look at their deck before conceding. There's no main deck card that like Blue-Black Tempo would have that would stop this. Okay, let's take a look at their list. It's probably pretty similar to everybody else. Let's go ahead and let them stick these. But like modern Oops, you may have played against Oops before, like a year or two ago. You're like, what's the big deal? You just forced their thing. But over the past, with the printing of more of these black cards, okay, 2 Poxwalkers, that's what I wanted to see. And it doesn't even matter what's in their hand. They can just target themselves. They are targeting me, though. So I'll just... All right, and we saw the Memory's Journey, Das's Oracle, Pact and Negations. Sometimes people don't play Pact and Negations. They just play extra discard spells. All right. Well, I wish I could say our tempo deck with 4 days, 4 Wasteland, or 3 days, 3 Thoughtseize, and like tons of other stuff was a good matchup, but it's not. It's not a particularly good matchup. I think it's maybe like a 50-50 matchup, and that'd be generous. We only have 2 Force Negations. I like to play 4 for precisely this matchup. 1 Collapse probably doesn't matter here. Bowmasters, as I established, is pretty terrible, but Fatal Push is pretty terrible too. I think Bowmasters comes out and we keep Fatal Push just in case they juke into creatures. I don't think that's correct for them to do it, but people do it. Fatal Push is very good if they do juke into creatures because it clears like their Baraglyphs and stuff like that. And we just don't have that much to bring in. So Baraglyph's not particularly strong here. The game rarely makes it that far. Murktide pitches to Force, unlike Baraglyph. I would say Tamio is not particularly strong, but actually, like a lot of games I win against Oops are me getting a Tamio out and just cracking clues until I've pulled ahead, card-wise. This is a Thoughtseize on the play hand. I'm going to keep this. I don't think it gets much better. This is actually double days, which is nice. If they have like, one cool thing about this card is if they do have Chancellor of the Annex, you could just yeet this into the bubble. Eat the bobble into the bubble. Bobble. Great game, by the way. So I'm going to peek at their top before. I thought these just to give me a little bit of additional information as to what they're working with. They kept 7, which is scary. They've got a land on top. A Thoughtseizable land. All right. Balustrade Spy and a ton of mana. That's what we want to see. Now, they may have a Reanimate. They have a Thoughtseize. I am not going to be dazing anything. Like their hand is like 2 Spirit Guides and a Petal. Yeah. But hopefully that does some damage. They're going to Thoughtseize our Merc. Almost because Merc is how we close. A Force. Okay, they're going to be Thoughtseizing our Force, unfortunately. I could actually force the Thoughtseize, but like they may need to produce so much mana later that like these daisies do become live. And it is 2 damage they're doing to themselves. I guess the question is, do I want to preserve this Merc that helps us close the game? Yeah, leave a comment with the timestamp if you disagree with this play, but I'm just going to let them do it. This is their only stable mana source so far. Oh, wait, no, they have the Disciple as well. Force of Vigor, not super relevant against us unless we draw exactly Grafdigger's Cage. Again, Grafdigger's Cage, in this case, weaker than Nile Spellbomb, because Nile Spellbomb we could at least convert it to a card. I'm just going to come out with this Tamio. I'll show them what I drew. It's okay. If over the next 2 turns they do draw enough mana and another dude, like they'd have to draw another dude right now, and we could daze twice, but I don't think it'd be enough to stop them because they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it would be enough to stop them double days, but they're not going to do it into our double days. It may be worth just dazing stuff, like anything, to get these cards in our graveyard. I think I'm going to daze this. This may seem loose, but literally like any top deck and we have a Merc, and that helps close a lot faster than just attacking with, yeah, I'm going to do it. And if they want to keep this around, they can pedal, but I doubt they're going to do that. But this is a draw. They can draw through this. And this does also shrink our graveyard marginally. I'm not going to daze a second time. They actually have to pay a mana to exile a card from our graveyard. Yeah, they just let it go. Okay. That comes into play tapped. All right. See, we draw. Fetch would be fine. Just another Underground Sea. I'm not going to play it out. I'll play out this known card. We're going to attack. No reason to draw now. We can just see what they're doing in case we need to hardcast daze. Okay. So this is pretty typical, like on the play versus Oops if you have like the Thoughtseize. Okay, so we can ponder and we can make a pretty big Merc here. I'm going to ponder. These cards are not exceptional. I'm going to any order shuffle this. I'm looking for another Force. Another Tommy is not great either. If we do Flipper later, we could just Flipper this turn and then regrow the Force. That may be better than getting a clock on the table. But our Merc is going to be a 7/7, which is basically a 2-turn clock. It's like technically 3 turns. I'm just going to play this out, and I think I am going to go ahead and Merc this turn. And I'll just draw cards. I'm not going to try to get clever with flipping her. I don't think that's necessary. We're going to have a lot of mana and not a lot to do with it. All right. And like if they draw one of their 7 remaining creatures or reanimate, the game's just over, unfortunately, despite all our effort. They shouldn't draw it statistically, but they absolutely could. And I want to point out that even if I were to like regrow the force, that would be next turn. It wouldn't be this turn. So it'd be basically, we'd be giving up shortening the clock of the game. Okay, they are doing something here. If they have Charbelcher, okay, this is Undercity Informer, so we freaking lose. Whatever. Let's go to the next round. I don't like this deck. I think I've made it clear. Let's go to game 3, or round 3. All right, round 3. We're up against a likely combo gamer. They mainly play Modern, but they do sometimes play Tempo or Control. But they've been playing Ruby Storm and Belcher in Modern as of yesterday. So it's very likely that they're playing something like Ruby Storm today. This hand does not line up well against Ruby Storm. Ruby Storm, like 12 Post or like Carnforge, just has so many redundant threats. But if they're on a fair deck, this is fine. We can like kind of tempo them. We have card selection. We have Wasteland. I'm going to keep it and I'll hope they're on. And we'll just adjust our strategy for games 2 and games 3. Okay, not a combo card for sure. You only put this in there if you're doing like a longer game. Okay, this is good. If we can find our Molten Collapse, it's perfect for this type of matchup. Brazen Borrower can also be pretty good here. I don't want to hit that land since they're already on board. I think I'm just going to probably use my least important card, and this might actually confuse them as to what we're playing. I'll Valk, because I want to keep blue-black. Those are like 90% of my cards are blue-black. Okay, Nethergoyf seems pretty good. Tamio's fine. We have Tamio and Brainstorm. I think we take Tamio and Brainstorm. And if they're on like a weenie strategy, that may beat them back for quite a while. Which would I be more sad of them thought seizing? Probably Brainstorm, because Tamio is pretty weak without Brainstorm. So yeah, I'll just, and they may ignore Tamio if they don't think I have Brainstorm. But if they'll probably take Brainstorm if they thought seize me. All right, so that's one card in the yard for Merc. They are on white, so Merc is not particularly strong here. It's not like Beanstalk where we get a card off of Merc. Merc is just like a 1-for-1. There's no value generated. One reason to swap out Merc for Nethergoyf post board is because Barrowgoyf creates value every time it connects. There's the Wasteland. Please waste me. It's totally fine. All right. And they are ticking up toward some sort of Maverick strategy, perhaps. At this point, it may make sense to go get the basic island to hide that I'm playing black, and so that we can just have more mana. Because if they just keep wasting us and they keep ratcheting this up, that's bad for us. So I am going to get the basic island here, like a coward. And we don't have a path to red, but we only have one red card in our deck right now. If they instep like Plow or something, I can just daze it. I don't want to have to do that and set ourselves back even more tempo-wise against this opponent on the play who has a Violin play. Val's picking up again. One good reason is if they're playing White Orchid Phantom, they can't hit this land. But if they're playing White Orchid Phantom, yeah, if this had been in our hand. No, wait, this was in our deck. So I always like I'm cool with White Orchid Phantom if I'm going to get a land out of it, but I'm not going to get lands for the rest of the game out of White Orchid Phantom. So it does become a big enemy. They may not be playing it. You have to play a very high density of creatures to justify putting Vial into your deck. So they may just be playing the 4 Plows as their sole removal. I can't imagine they're also playing Prismatic Ending or Shieldred's Edict or anything like that. They could be playing Solitude though. Okay. Slivers. As soon as I saw that, I was like Slivers, and then they named the creature type Slivers. Yeah. Slivers you control have flying and haste. So there's an argument for just running them out of cards. I'm going to daze this because they chose to play this. They have another one in hand. So the problem with Slivers is they run out of cards in hand if you deal with enough of their creatures. This is pretty good as far as Slivers are concerned. Like flying and haste, that's pretty good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to Brainstorm flip Tamio here, and then I can hopefully keep their army at bay for a while, distracted with Tamio, because they are like a pure aggro deck. You can play like counter Slivers, which is a deck I played like 10 years ago. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what's under this. Okay, there's a force. That's good. Again, like it's not great, but it is potentially something that can distract. So I'm going to come in and I have a Brainstorm. So we're not going to have to worry about Solitude. They may have, like, they could put a bunch of Muscle Slivers into play here, and that would be scary. But, like, Slivers hasn't been a going concern for a while in my mind because, like, I have a Nethergoyf that's a 5/6 without any additional assistance. I don't think Bowmasters is great here. I might want to shuffle it away, and it doesn't pitch to force. I'm not going to be wanting to cultivate a Wasteland here. I'm going to be wanting to drop a Merc ASAP, and I'll just keep these other Merc in hand. I mean, it's possible. This is a 1/1, so maybe we can poke it. Maybe we keep it. Borrower's pretty bad. Like, they have a Vial out. We could bounce the Vial back to hand, but we're so late in the game, I don't think that really matters. I think I'm going to redraw one of these. Actually, I'm going to redraw both of these, most likely, unless I ponder. And next turn, I'm most likely just going to want to Merc. So yeah, I'll do like this. I'll keep the Merc in hand to pitch to force. This flips. Hopefully Bowmaster can ping something. We'll see. But we are ticking up. And they have to, like, the whole goal of Tamiyo is to distract them at this point. They do have a Sliver to put in instep because there's no reason they would just play that out. Unless they were trying to do some mind game with us. So here comes the instep Sliver. Crystalline Sliver. Okay, that's a good Sliver. But it is a 1/1 unless they have a Muscle Sliver or a Sinew Sliver. Or like Predator Sliver. I can't remember the names. But I think they're like 3+1/+1 type creatures. They leave it at 2. That's good to know. I don't think Brazen Borrower is strong at all here on the Vial. I think they can just play it back out. We just need to work through their cards. If they have a Muscle Sliver, then this is taking 2 instead of 1 loyalty. And we're just going to keep plussing her and threatening. Orcish Bowmaster just became a terrible card, though. Merc is huge. I do think getting Merc down will present a sufficient wall. 3 lands. Okay, so these are terrible lands that basically you just cycle through them. Their mana base is really brittle. I wish I had... they had to pay life to use it, too. There's the Muscle Sliver. That is forceable, right? I'm going to force that. I'm not going to get that many opportunities to force stuff here. This grows the Merc. They've got 2 cards left in hand. They can crack those to draw and maybe find more Slivers. There's the Sliver, the Vial activation. There's the other Muscle Sliver. Okay. So we could double block with the Bowmasters. That's probably the best Bowmasters is going to do here. So we debuff. So I am going to keep pumping this up as I stick Murktide. I don't think Wasteland's going to do anything here. They probably have Wastelands of their own. I'll just plus here. Yeah, I'm going to Merc. We need a shield. If they want to kill Tommy, they have to kind of kamikaze one of their creatures in. If they have Plow, that gives us a lot of life. They may have Plow. And these fire design creatures just really outshine these synergizing creatures. This is one of the reasons Merfolk is also kind of falling off is because it's like synergizing creatures. They at least have Island Walk. Slivers have, Shroud, which is powerful. But I'm just going to hang back and see how many Slivers they want to sacrifice trying to kill my Tommy. So we're drawing Borrower, which is just like an atrocious card. Okay, they draw a card. This is good. They're sacrificing their mana base. Next turn, if they do that, like I might have a Bowmaster out to catch. There's the Wasteland. So I'm not going to have the Bowmasters unless... Yeah, I'm just not going to have the Bowmasters. But they're like pretty low on cards. They're not attacking, so Tamiyo's going to be able to do her thing. If we draw half our deck, we definitely win in this matchup. They haven't done much damage at all. Just plus here. I'm going to ponder. I could attack, but I think it's probably not correct to attack. Nethergoyf. I think I'm just going to go get a land here and surveil in step. Nethergoyf would be good. No, not right now. Brainstorm does fix our hand a little bit, but it's not worth it. I'm trying to think if there are any Slivers that have come out since I last played Slivers. I used to play this. This was like actually my first Legacy deck was Counter Slivers. Back in 2010, 2009, before Lorwyn was printed. So we could attack for 7. Is that worth it? Because then she takes 4, but she might take a lot more than that. I think we just chill. and turtle up and draw half our deck. End step, we can surveil. They're going to need a lot of creatures if they want to stop this Tamio from ultimating. And we're kind of putting them in the inverse abyss. Sinew. Okay, so they're buff. They are buff. They need another Sinew type of sliver. That force on the muscle sliver was so critical. Like if they'd taken it slow and just put every single creature in through Vial, they wouldn't be in this situation. They would have a lot more power on the table. But they're going to need a lot of Sinew slivers and muscle slivers to get up to Murktide size where they can favorably trade in combat. They play Wasteland. I don't have any more basics. I'm no longer able to fetch my Surveillant here. Come on, you want to attack Tommy. What? You're crazy. Seriously? All right. So we do know our top card. It's like I think it's a Brainstorm. If we fetch, we lose the land. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to draw it. Okay, options. One, we could Wasteland their Wasteland. That might actually be a good option because it forces motion. We cut them off this color. They can't, but they had the Vial. I think every sliver in the deck is a 2-drop. That just makes sense, being able to put the Vial on 2 and leave it. I think I am going to do that play where I just waste their Wasteland. So they'll waste back, and then I can just fetch. All right. I will just grab this Underground Sea because I've got things I can do here. And Orcish Bowmasters actually makes it like very difficult for them to deal combat damage because I can just block everything. Unless they have yet another thing they're going to put in here. If they try to crack this in the end step, I get extra pings, which is nice. They can't target the creatures, but they can target my opponent. Are they drawing? Oh. Well, you don't say. All right, we got some extra block up. And I don't really care about this Bowmasters. I don't think it's important. Are they going to exile it somehow? What is this? Predatory Sliver? Okay, that's fine. You can do that with the trigger on the stack. It doesn't change anything, I don't think. Okay, so now they have 4 attackers. Everything's big. They're going to need like some sort of evasion sliver here to be able to hit Tommy. That's not true. So I'm fine with losing my, just preserving toughness on Tommy as long as I keep them in the abyss. They ticked it up to 3. Interesting. What sliver costs 3 that they would have in their hand right now? There might be one that gives +1. Oh, what? You're crazy. You are crazy. You're going to let me Tommy ultimate? Okay. Okay. Like, here, friend, let me introduce you to the power of drawing half your deck. Do you have something that you can vial in? Okay. So you don't, basically. So what we're going to do here is, I think we just play another Murktide. Did we draw another Murktide? Murktides feed Murktides. I think we just drop a bunch of Nethergoyfs. And I'm going to hang back for a few turns and just continue to develop. I'm going to play super patient here. Actually, I can't Kaito. I mean, I could Kaito, but I don't think it's worth it to like bring the Merc back to my hand. See, they have essentially 19 damage on the plus whatever this is. So I do want to keep my Merc up. So I guess I just want to play double Nethergoyf. We could Thoughtseize them. They have 2 cards in hand, and then we Nethergoyf. That is a little bit scary to do. We could bounce this back to hand. Then they interact. Maybe I Thoughtseize first. And maybe they don't put this in. And then we play a land and we bounce this back to hand. We could also bounce this back to hand. And then Thoughtseize. The main thing is I just don't want to die to a sudden rush of damage. If they have like something that gives it flight. Because flight and we would take 12. So I'm not sure that we cast Thoughtseize here. I think I'm going to brainstorm and then shuffle some stuff away. And then I can drop 2 Mercs and they'll be a little bit, drop 2 Nethergoyfs and they'll be bigger. Let's do that. Okay, and I can bobble as well, which makes it tougher. I could Thoughtseize myself, put the one of my Kaitos in the yard. So I'm going to put back some fetches from my hand. I'll play out a land. I'm going to fetch 2 left in the deck. We're going to go black, Nethergoyf. And I'll just do it again. Nethergoyf. Then I'll just draw through with Bobble. Take a look at their top card. Waterlogged Grove. That is good for us. I guess I can go ahead and cycle through this one too. The main constraint we're facing is just... I guess I could have wasted this. Okay, so 4/5s, Contango. I'm just going to pass. if they get a big attack in, we can at least block a lot of it. I'm optimistic that we will find another Murktide and we can just kill them in one swing. So we have double force up if they cast anything that's not a, Viled in. And they put this on 3, which means that they're not going to be able to do bigger things. Oh man, they may have a 4-drop and that's why they're doing it. So we draw again. Okay, Fatal Pushes unfortunately do nothing unless we can kill this Crystalline Sliver. If they Alpha Strike, I'll definitely prioritize killing the Crystalline Sliver. There is like a sliver I think that gives +2/+2. That would be scary. Waterlogged Grove. Predatory Sliver, okay. So they're big enough to kill our Netherglyphs now. Why put it up at 4? I just don't understand. I'm kind of scared. Okay, they're not attacking. This is great for us. This gives us extra turn 2. We +1 here. That's great. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and plus here. I do want to Thoughtseize them just in case they have like a 5-power one. Is that rational? Bounce this back to hand. And then play land, and then I have another Bowmasters. I can waste them off this. I think that's fine too. So I can't I can just play another Tamio as a chump blocker. Take them off that land. Borrow this back to hand. Is this what you were waiting for with the 4-drop? Okay, activate. What's this do? Shroud. Tap target permanent. That's actually pretty terrifying. Because they can tap a lot of our stuff. So we need critical mass for permanents here. Okay, I think I'm actually going to go in and just hit them twice with the Merc. Because I don't think they can... if we go to combat, so I can attack. Now they're heavily incentivized to just throw everything at us. But if they do that, then they're not going to be able to tap this down. So they have to keep at least one thing back. I'm not sure if they can kill us here. I'm not going to do the math. I'm just going to wait. We have 16 life. Yeah, I don't think they have enough permanents. Oh, they can tap end step. Yeah, they can tap end step and Alpha Strike. That's crazy that they beat Tommy Ultimate. I'm not going to waste any more time because I think I'm more likely to run out of time than them because we're kind of diffusing their bomb. Okay. So we don't really... Oh, Baraglyph is really good here, actually, because Baraglyph gains life and he's good in life gain matchups. I think Molten Collapse is quite good, assuming they don't have that one thing. We can still blow up their vial with it. It's not that bad. I don't want to Thoughtseize the aggro deck. There we go. All right. Slivers in 2025. You saw it first on the Be Excellent channel. Be sure to hit like and subscribe. Leave a comment with something affirmative. I'm excited to play against this matchup. Like, I didn't realize that I think Telekinetic Sliver was a card. But it was precisely what they needed to break the stalemate. And so had I known that that was possibly in their deck, I definitely would have just been more aggressively attacking. And now I will be more aggressive. I'm not going to rely on Tamio Ultimate and let them build out their board. We had so much removal, but it was all invalidated by Crystalline Sliver, which Crystalline Sliver, I think, was the first sliver they played. So I will say my opponent sequenced very well. And there was a window when I could have Thoughtseized them and taken that out, and I would have probably won that game. But I didn't know that it was in their deck. And Thoughtseize, again, like I always take out Thoughtseize against aggro decks. All right, game 2. We have a pretty good hand. I will force Vial. I think I'm going to keep this. This is an early Tamio. They don't have a lot of removal in their deck. They probably rely on permanents that deal with things instead of trying to like have actual removal in their deck. They may have 4 Plows. Plow is kind of like, even though Plow is very good in an aggro deck, a lot of people don't play it in their aggro decks, which I think is a mistake. If you have access to Plow, play it. Don't worry about like, oh, you're giving them life. Plow is one of the best cards ever printed, despite the fact that you're giving them life. The fact that it gives life is actually like a benefit because there are occasionally situations where you need to gain life to survive. And you just play your own creature. Like I've won a lot of cards, a lot of games by plowing a Murktide and then being able to Alpha Strike them in the subsequent turn. Every time they mulligan, it's great for us because they have like very little card selection. Also, their mana base is paper thin. If we can get the Wastelands up. The key card, the critical card that must be stopped is Vial. If you stop the Vial, the deck just isn't that strong. Like that entire game was brought to you by the uncounterability provided by Vile and the fact that they were able to just like draw off their lands instead of actually using their lands as mana. So I am just going to go ahead and play this out, and I'll save the fetch for later for a perfect brainstorm. It's Tamiyo. Do I defend Tamiyo? She was pretty damn good last game, wasn't she? Did draw us like 30 cards, 20 plus cards. If we can get a force for this, that's so good because our opponent already mulled. I don't think they play force. They play force? Well, they do play force. We know that because their life total changed. Whether they force it or not, now we know that they have force out. I don't think we... do we force back? I think we do force back because we can brainstorm. It's clearly like their hand is soft to this. We don't have a lot else going on. Also, note the really cool OG Force of Will art that I have. I'm on my creator account, so I can do that. I think these cards are like 50 or 60 bucks each on MTGO. Again, shout out to everybody who subscribed to help me get into the creator program. I appreciate y'all. Cavern. Is it not the worst that we forced what we could force there? There's the Vile. I mean, I said I was going to force it. I'm going to force it. Now we have nothing, but Tamiyo is a heck of a card. We can even flip her next turn. Yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to attack. I can just draw a card, but I'm going to wait. I'm going to see what they're drawing in their upkeep. This way I draw during this Tamiyo turn so I can flip her if I want to. Sky Shroud, Sliver creatures have flying and haste. Okay, that's good to know. Hopefully they don't have land because they don't play a lot of land, and we did stop their Vile, which they probably kept the hand on the strength of Vile. I would imagine. I could be wrong. Importantly, the creature they revealed, it gives them haste, but it's only a 1/1 or a 1. Okay, I am going to go ahead and just crack the clue now. I'll get a redundant Underground Sea here. That is fine. You can do that. That gives me more information to choose what land I'm going to get. I'm just going to get an Underground Sea, though. It doesn't actually change anything. But like that's, in my opinion, you should let me fetch first. Yeah, I'll just get the Underground Sea here. And then we're just going to go and crack the clue. So we get a card draw. And as long as we draw a land, we can still flip Tommy. Okay, days. Okay, we got the land. This is great. So now I can flip Tommy, which is pretty good. We have days up, which probably doesn't matter because they have Cavern. They are probably color screwed, which is why they opted to waste me instead of playing out their card. So we'll draw our card. This flips her. Got a Brainstorm. We have another Tommy on deck for next turn, assuming we don't get wasted off blue again. Drawing half our deck would be really strong if they can't provide sufficient pressure to stop it. But this Days is dead as a doornail unless they specifically have like a Vile. Second Cavern. So they are no longer color screwed. They can basically do anything here. We are looking for wastes of our own. Blue, black, Hibernation Sliver, 2/2. So we can start applying pressure to Tommy. But not if I throw a Tommy out in front of it. And I think I will. Let's go ahead and... I probably could have brainstormed first. That's a freaking keep. Yeah, that card will be insane next turn. I think I'm just going to plus, and I am going to play the Tommy here. And we're just going to chill for Baragoyf. Hope that they don't draw another waste, but Baragoyf should be pretty good. So I will potentially sacrifice her if necessary to keep this Tommy alive. But I'm not going to sacrifice her. Well, hopefully they don't have just like the pump. They have to double pump this to be able to attack through Tommy because it's going to be debuffed. They have that haste sliver, but it's only like a 1/1, so it'll get completely debuffed. Oh no, Nethergoyf is not going to make it, unfortunately. Or Baragoyf, rather. I always get those two confused. I don't confuse the cards, but I confuse the names. I'm an old man. All right, Predatory Sliver. Yes. You're welcome to attempt to attack my Tommy here. Sadly, I do really want to brainstorm here, but I don't want to flip my Tommy. I guess I could have minus there and just gotten back and forth, but it's not going to do anything in this game. There's nothing to be done here. We just have to chill. This will be able to hit for 1, assuming they don't have yet another card, but they have the haste card, so we should assume they're going to be able to knock loyalty off Tommy. I think we've lost this game on the strength of that second Wasteland. Baragoyf would have been so good here. Very unfortunate. I mean, I could have brainstormed for a land. If I could just let them hit this Tommy a lot and then just keep plussing her and yeah. And then I can flip her and just have a replacement Tommy and distract them for several turns. Baragorf, once he gets down, he's lifelink, he's death touch. He fills up my graveyard, which makes him stronger. Yeah, here's the red-white one. So they're down to 1 card. So this is going to knock 2 loyalty off her if they attack with her, which they should. Okay. Block here. So she loses 2 loyalty. I mean, they're not really advancing their game plan that much, but every card they draw, every sliver is just a little bit more than I have to deal with. There's another Goyf. Doesn't matter because they have flying now. I am just going to be in a holding pattern here, though. I don't really have anything better to do. Once I get the 3rd land, Baragorf comes down and we start partying. I'm not going to create clues. I'm just going to defend this Tommy. So they'll take 2 more loyalty off her. So we're in stasis, but I'm actually really low on clock. So are they, but they have to only win 1 game. I have to win 2. Game 1 was just a grinder. This one's looking to be a grinder too. Crystalline Sliver, okay. So doesn't change anything too much, but like they do have another attacker on board. Yeah, I think it changes enough. Notable that even if I do get a way to target these, so she loses 4 loyalty. She's still fine health-wise. They're out of cards. If we can slam this Baragorf, please give me a land. All right, there we go. I am not going to brainstorm. I'm just going to go straight into Baragorf country because then this disincentivizes them from attacking. I definitely could have gotten the red card there. I think that was a mistake on my part. I should have gotten like probably a bad land or a Volk. Might as well attack with another Goyf. He's not going to do anything hanging back. But Tommy does, keep the other Tommy alive for a turn. I'm just going to F6 through this turn. I think it's extremely unlikely that my Daze does a damn thing. And I want to preserve clock. Okay. And it doesn't do a damn thing. They're going to draw through this. I don't think they have any 1-drops or 2-drops in their deck that aren't slivers. So I'm going to assume that like my Daze isn't going to do anything. I'm just going to stay F6 to try to preserve clock. My opponent is at 6 minutes. If we win, the clock is a win con. Now they have to decide whether they want to attack with everything because Baragorf hitting does gain me life. It's nice to put the thinking on them for once because this entire game, like the thinking's been on me. They just attack with everything. They did not have another sinew sliver, which would have been catastrophic for us. They could bounce a sliver to hand and replay it and block. They're going to multi-block, which is fine. I will happily kill multiple creatures here. Oh, they can just bounce this to hand, removing the lifelink. So Baragorf is not as good as I thought it was here. They do have to recast it. I'm going to plus here. Attack with everything, except for the Tommy. So they will block here and bounce, and that's fine. I don't gain the life. They do take 3. I would love for Merc to be bigger, but I'm not going to... I don't want to flip my Tommy. She's been doing a great job of defending the other Tommy. They just scoop because they're low on time. Okay, that's good. We didn't even have to show them the Merc. They know we have Merc, of course. They saw it for game 1. So Pyroblast is not very good against their deck because their blue slivers are like they get Shroud and we can't counter them anyway. Like their entire deck is premised around uncounterability. Daze feels atrocious on the draw. Let's see, they do have some red slivers. I don't want to bring in Thoughtseize. Again, they're going to spin their hand very quickly. I think Pyroblast might be warranted, though. They get the Crystalline Sliver out. They get the freaking Cavern. I don't know. I don't feel like we have good sideboard substitutions here. You could argue, like, oh, Thoughtseize would have been really good game 1. But like, there was no way. I mean, now that we know it's good, but I think they're going to dump their hand, and it's going to play out just like it did in the first one. Maybe Daze is better just because... there could be some extreme situation, and they're going to probably be wasting us off red. I mean, Hydroblast, they have at least 1, and this does pitch to force. I have no idea how many red spells they have in their deck. They may just have that 1, the flying one. We know that they likely have at least 4 or maybe 8 blue slivers. I genuinely don't know. I'm tempted to just bring these Thoughtseize back in. They feel terrible, though. We could bring a Nile Spellbomb in, even though it doesn't do anything. It is an artifact that we can click through, like to buff our Goyfs. I think it's actually better than Daze in this situation. Like I would have happily used that had I had the window to do so. Yeah, I think I'm going to bring in the Thoughtseizes over the Dazes. It feels wrong. But Daze on the draw against the 4 Aether Vial, 4 Cavern of Souls deck just feels even wronger. Okay, this is great. This is actually a pretty decent hand because these drop down quickly and we draw through, and this Force probably doesn't do anything because we're just going to open with Cavern or Vial, but I'm not going to put this back. These Nethergoyfs will be 2/3s pretty quickly, and then they'll quickly be bigger than that. They mold a 6, which is great for us. They're down like almost 4 minutes on us. So they're going to have to make hurried decisions. They can absolutely kill us in 5 minutes, though. Their deck scales really quickly. This game may very well be over by turn like 4 or 5. And I'm not like somebody who likes to win with clock. I'm not going to call it like a cowardice thing, but like it's not a satisfying way to win. Okay, so this would be an argument for bringing in Pyroblast if we ever play against this deck again. So I'm going to go ahead and just let's see what they're drawing. Caracas, okay, that's good to know about. It does mean Tamiyo is probably going to be pitched to Force here. I will see what I'm going to draw. If it's a really good card, then maybe I don't fetch. Yeah, I definitely want to fetch. So I'm going to fetch, get an Underground Sea, and drop my Goyf. This may be the only basic in their entire deck. Next turn, we can force a land they play, or waste a land they play. And, okay, Thoughtseize is not a great card, but it is a sorcery. Okay, and we have Force Up. So assuming they don't play Cavern exactly, we can force something, which is good. I will force stuff. This is a good card if you get up to 6 mana, 5 mana. Yeah, 6 total. Okay, I will force that. I think this is like, we're going to force where we can. This puts an instant in our graveyard. They're going to come in for 1. I will be wasting that and dropping a Nethergoyf. No, I'll be Thoughtseizing and dropping a Nethergoyf. Let's max the damage. Another Force, not really what I wanted to see. I guess I could have just waited on that land drop because they may not have another land. Could have stranded stuff in their deck. This card sucks usually, but it does give... it makes things difficult to counter. I'm going to go ahead and attack. So they have a Mutavault, which we can waste. That might be more fruitful than wasting the Sliver Hive. I'm sorry. Like, I hope that doesn't sound excessively negative when I'm like, oh, that card sucks. But like, I do think it's a mediocre card. And I'm glad that they see it. Like I'm glad they had it in hand. They're down to 1 thing, and I think we're going to be able to tempo them out with these Goyfs here. So I'll just waste the Mutavault. This is the Pump Sliver. Yep. Even if they were to double block, they couldn't stop our powerful Nethergoyfs coming in. I'll take 2. And you'll take 8. Okay, now we have a Force for their last card. Assuming they don't, like, if they just chump a whole lot, that's kind of like garbage time. Like, their board state is not progressing. They play 2, their mana base is way too greedy. Like, Caracas and Island in a 5-color Sliver deck, I'm sorry. Like, that's not how I would build the deck, frankly. I'd build it with, like, 100% Rainbow lands. If you're going to play, like, I think they're on all 5 colors. I didn't see black, 4-color. Even 4-color, I think you play all. Yeah. So now they have to kind of like hang back and block. Or they can not do that. Fatal Push. Let's push this out of the way, and then I should be able to win. GG's. Okay, so we're 2-0, or 2-1, rather, losing to my favorite deck, Oops All Spells. That is sarcasm. See you in round 4. Right. Round 3, we are up against... Yeah, they were complimenting my avatar. I never had an avatar before, but I was like, this looks like the Savant. It's cool. I'm going to mulligan. We're up against Doomsday. I'm not going to keep that type of hand. I don't think these hands keep either. Fatal Push is essentially mulligan. We can't rely on Brainstorm to get us there. Thoughtseize would be good. This is like right on the margin of what I'll keep because it does have a clock at least, and we can pretty quickly ramp up that clock. So I'll keep here. Put back the Merc for later. I guess I put back Underground Sea. Yeah, and we're going to try to win on 1 land. Like Nethergoyf. They might actually daze the Nethergoyf, but I bet you they just ignore it. They may just go straight into Doomsday. Sometimes they do get Dark Ritual Doomsday. Okay, Tommy, that's fine. That wasn't on my radar for cards they could have because their recent lists have been largely creatureless other than Thassa's Oracle and Street Wraith. All right, this is good. I'm going to go ahead and play this out. I am going to bobble them. Thassa's Oracle. Okay, that's a bad draw for them. They definitely don't want that in their opener. I'm going to go get an Underground Sea here. We will go ahead and drop the Goyf. That Daze was a really good draw, by the way. So now next turn we can Ponder and we can Brainstorm. If we can Ponder into land and then we can Brainstorm. And then we can be hitting them for 4. And they do use their life total as a resource. Okay, we got the land. Great. All right. They're going to come in for a hug. Clue. Tamio is really good in these types of decks because you can crack the Clue and immediately get into your Doomsday pile. You need a lot of mana to do that. Brainstorm's fine. This flips her. It's fine. I'll just kill her next turn. I won't be able to kill her. I can knock her down to 1. And I will, aggressively try to knock her down to 1 here. So it basically bought them 2 turns. Fetching. So if I Daze and then I Ponder, then he's 4/5. This could be Doomsday. Yeah. We'll let it happen. I'm going to Daze. If they have Daze back or a Force, that's okay. They do have the Force. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is they're going to give up a lot of life here. I could just opt to aim my Netherwave them. I can Ponder for a Force something they're doing. Tamio can regrow Force, but then she doesn't debuff me. Yeah, I do think that the best thing I can find off a Ponder is probably a Force here. So they Tommy, they bring back the Force. I just ignore Tommy and hit them a bunch. They're going to be at 8. So it'll take 3 swings, but yeah, we'll see what we do. So I've got for those of you who are unfamiliar with the Be Excellent channel, we almost always face Doomsday. It's a very popular deck, at least in leagues. And so luckily, yeah, we can see, so BCD FOP, Buffalo Chicken Dip FOP. So overdressed person of the Buffalo Chicken Dip. So we have Force. So BCD, I'll start with the Brainstorms. I'll be disciplined. So I'll count the Brainstorms. I count 3 Brainstorms. So they likely have a Brainstorm in hand. C is Cyclers. I count 0 Cyclers. So no Edge of Autumns or Street Wraiths. It could be they're playing Doomsday, maybe they're not. Or they're playing Bowmasters, maybe they're not on a turbo list and they just kind of got lucky and turboed. They have Kaito in their deck. It's pretty sweet. So they have, this is an interesting list because they have Kaito enabled by both Tamio, which is probably a 4 of. 1, 2. I imagine she's a 4 of. She may just be a 3 of. But I mean, if you're going to play Kaito, you might as well 4x because that's the best way to get Kaito out is Tommy. And then I count 3 dazes. I don't think they usually play more than 3 dazes. 1 Force, 2 Forces, 3 Force, 4 Force. Okay, so they don't have a Force. They actually don't have any good targets in their graveyard for Tamio because of earlier I said they could get back a Force, but they can't actually do that because their graveyard's exiled. So we see 1 Oracle here. They could be playing a second one. They could also be playing Jace. I can't remember the name of the Jace. I see 4 Ponders. LEDs out here. Petal. 1 Petal. They usually play 3. 2 Petal. Okay, so they may have a Petal. They may have a Brainstorm. And I'm not sure what else they have. They probably don't have a Daze. Okay, so that's helpful information. All right, so they're going to pass. I am going to Ponder to max damage and hope to find a Force or a Daze. Daze is not great, but that's a Force. This Tamio is essentially a dead draw. So I'll draw this Delta instead, and that way I can surveil. I'll take the Force now. Okay, let's go ahead and attack them. I have to attack them 3 times. I'll force anything they do here. Cycle. Edge of Autumn, okay. They could just have the Cavern and the just do an empty pile. Oh, they're regrowing that. Okay. That's cool. I didn't think about that. That's a cool trick. They get a mana off that. They are dead if we force and they can't go any further, like if they're relying on our Brainstorm, but they may just go for the Oracle here. Clue. So if they Cavern here, okay, they have, yeah, I think they're just going to Cavern. This is a very cool pile, by the way. Yeah, there's the Cavern and there's the thing. And the fact that we had a Force didn't matter. There was nothing we could have done, frankly. Like even Thought Seizing them probably wouldn't have mattered. Had we attacked here, they wouldn't have been able to minus. Good game. Okay. Pyroblast definitely comes in. I think it's really strong in this matchup. Barragoyf, nah, I don't think so. Molten Collapse can deal with a Tomio, a flip Tommy. I don't like Hydroblast. I think we take out the Fatal Pushes. Let's see. I have no idea what their sideboard is. I think Nethergoyf is probably big enough that he can tango with most of what they're doing. I'm going to cut a couple of Fatal Pushes. I don't think it's going to be a big deal. Molten Collapse can kill like Carpet. Did we see any green? I don't think we did. It can kill Flip Tommy, and it can also kill a creature if necessary. It can kill a Jace if they get a Jace out. Or, I'm sorry, Kaito, the better Jace, the Power Corrupt Jace. I'm trying to imagine a scenario in which they're actually able to kill us through aggro, and it almost always is likely to involve Kaito, which we have covered like 4x, 5x. So I could just cut the Fatal Push. There could be situations where they get an early Tomio, but Pyroblast deals with that. I think I'm going to do that. I think we have enough answers to Bowmasters and Kaito that we can cut the cuts. Or pushes, rather. All right. So this is a Tomio start with no interaction, but we do have the Bobble. We can flip her really aggressively. They're unlikely to be able to attack in and stop her. They do have Bowmasters, but she's pretty good at deterring Bowmaster from winning. So this does have a blind spot. I think I'm going to set an upkeep stop, and then I'm just going to look at their top card in the upkeep. I guess I can just play the Volk. That does turn them on to the fact that... But then I have Surveil and I have Brainstorm. Yeah, I'm just going to do it. So again, we're leaving ourselves open to turn one. Oh, that's fine. There's a 2-for-1. I'm going to go ahead and play the Bobble and use it. The card they exile, by the way, is a Ponder. Okay, they have a Ponder on top. So we're going to get their Ponder back. So I think next turn, we're just going to Surveil and Wasteland. If we draw a blue card, I'll just hold it. I'm not going to get a... Okay, that's perfect. I'll hold that. If we find like a Bowmasters that can... Kaito can enable that, but I think most likely this is just going to get pitched to an aggressive Doomsday. They've already pitched one of their installation spells. If they were going to Doomsday, I don't think they would have forced there. This is fine. I'm not going to force a Duress. They do see how brittle our hand is. Also, they did fetch a basic there, which is very fortuitous for them. Very savvy of them, rather. They made the intentional decision to include Swamp. Most Doomsday decks do not play basic Swamp. Okay, so I think we just play this out, and we're kind of telegraphing that we ripped a Bowmaster, but we didn't have anything else to do. So this may look completely normal and innocent, but I am going to jam a Bowmaster should the opportunity present itself. I think if they cast this Ponder, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. They may have days. They may Fatal Push before the Ponder trigger, depending on how control-y their build is. They may also have their own Bowmasters, so we did just cast the first Bowmasters, which is a sin. Let he who is without sin cast the first Bowmasters, because once they do, they have sinned. Sorry, I don't know if that makes any sense. I'm just trying to be clever. All right, so we did get a hit. That's pretty good. We still don't have a target for Wasteland, so I'm not going to play it out. I'm just going to attack. We have Brainstorm up if we absolutely need to desperately brainstorm for something, but I don't really want to do that. I think our hand's fine. I think this Wasteland could go back for sure. Yeah, I'll just chill. We'll see what they draw. If they draw if they Thoughtseize us, then I'm gonna do it. But like one way we could definitely lose is just get blown out. Okay, what Lord? Oh, this. We can't counter it too. That's pretty good. Okay, so Barragoyf is a 6/7 already. Uncounterable Barragoyf. What answers do we have in our deck to a 6/7 Barragoyf? We actually took out our fatal pushes. We had to find the other card. So I am going to be brainstorming in step. So we could absolutely die to this thing. And I opted not to bring my own in. I didn't think it was right for the matchup. Well, maybe I was wrong. Okay, Merc. We can make a giant Merc, and that could block that. It's not going to be big enough, though, is it? I don't even think they're going to Doomsday here. If they do Doomsday, they're going to Doomsday with so much life. Could just throw the Merc and a whole bunch of other stuff in front of it. Let's talk about what our options are. I think we probably put back the Force here, because I'm going to just like spew all the value. Well, we can put back the Tomio. We might brainstorm into something, because we might have to force like some sort of interaction spell. Tommy doesn't grow the Merc. So the Merc is actually very tiny right now. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and fetch, and I'm just going to go immediately fire off this Brainstorm too. I get Surveil here. I think it's fine. And then I can Brainstorm. Because I'm not going to be able to shuffle again. So this just gets one more card in our graveyard. I think that goes in the graveyard. Sadly, that does buff the Goyf. Oh, we can make the Goyf smaller by removing stuff from our graveyard. Yeah, we could take everything out of our graveyard. And then Goyf will be sorcery instant land. He'll be a 3/4. And he'll easily fall to Goyf. Do we want to pitch this? This is a really good card in the match. I think we want to pitch it. We're looking to max, and I'm going to go ahead and Brainstorm 2. I know this seems aggressive and maybe insane, but I just want to max the power. Molten Collapse. Okay, that just clears it. All right. So now we have Molten Collapse plus Force. And then subsequently we have Kaito. And Kaito is much more important than Merc here. Let's think about this. So they're down to 3 cards. I seriously doubt they're going to be able to stop Molten Collapse. And the Merc, they may have another one actually in hand, which is really scary. So we may not want to pitch the Merc to force. We may want to pitch the Kaito. Let's see. If we Kaito, if they attack, they gain a bunch of life. Merc does clear a bunch of stuff of our graveyard. Yeah, I think we actually keep the Merc. But then if we get the Nethergoyf down and Kaito, like we're not gonna outrace this though. This is probably the most consequential decision of the game. We definitely got lucky in finding this Molten Collapse. So I think we need to keep the Force to ram this Molten Collapse through. We attack them for 3. We drop a Merc, or we drop a Nethergoyf. We're like seriously strong against what they have going on over there. So I'm going to redraw. It's really just a question, do we pitch the Merc or do we pitch the Kaito? I think we pitch the Kaito. Because Merc plus what we have on the board basically ends the game. So I'll just put back Kaito. I'll put back Merc, and then I'll put back Kaito. And I'll draw Kaito, and then I'll pitch him to Force. By the way, if you hear my son playing piano, he's homesick. He had the flu. He's totally better, but like the school requires him to stay home for 24 hours. That's a huge card. And that is a big feather in the cap for this deck. They're not dead on board. Like, again, if they have another one, I mean, Kaito could, in theory, come down. This is 6-7. Yeah, they're dead on board. They have to have another Beargoyf now. They have another Beargoyf now. That's crazy. And it's uncounterable. Okay, so we're just going to Merc. Merc does make our stuff smaller, though. Okay, so options. We could attack with everything. And then we could Kaito stun. They're down to 2 cards. That's uncounterable. They're going to gain some life. But then we're just going to be able to beat them down. I think that's correct. So we don't necessarily have to attack with this. I think I'm going to attack like that. I just want to max the damage. They're going to gain 6 life. Blue, black, blue, Kaito. We're going to bring... Ah, man, it sucks to bring this back to hand, but I think it is correct. Yeah, we want to max damage here. They gain a bunch of life. They lose 9. Now we stun. We have Force up. I think we're going to win this game. Unless they just have like another Beargoyf. Can you imagine how insane that would be if they had yet another Beargoyf? I mean, technically we could stun it and we could still attack for lethal though. So they need more than just a Beargoyf here. Bowmasters would be pretty good. That's fine. I'm not sure what they're looking for. Maybe actually I should have forced that just because that could draw them to Beargoyf. But again, like we've established, Beargoyf is not the answer that they need. Maybe I should have forced this. Leave a comment with the timestamp if you think I'm being loose by not forcing this. They have to win through Doomsday. They're going to... Oh, they're just going to... They did find another one. Okay, well, it doesn't matter. We're going to win anyway. Unless they have Fatal Push as their last card, which... Yeah, we can just... Okay, cool. So we win. I just stun and attack in. And that is the power of Kaito, folks. Good game. Wow. We had to use the full freaking whale there. Apologies to any like Greenpeace listeners. But like there's an expression like you have to use like lots of indigenous tribes have. Again, I'm not trying to defend whaling as a practice on the Be Excellent channel, but I'm just explaining the expression. Yeah, you want to use the whole whale. You don't want to put the whale to waste. The whale gave you its life, and you want to make maximal use of it. Okay, so Do we bring in Barrowgoyf if they're going to be bringing in Barrowgoyf? Do we keep in Fatal Pushes? I mean, Fatal Push would have been insane there. I think we kind of do. Gosh, 3 Barrowgoyfs in a row. That was freaking crazy. Kaito was good there. What do we take out? I mean, like the baubles, you could definitely take those out. Those are a liability with Jace around. I kind of think we do take those out. Like, they're not a good part of our deck. We're not proud to have them in there. They're just there to buff the Goyf. They're not, like, it's not like we skimped on mana to be able to get those in. I think Pyroblast is still good, but Molten Collapse, man, MVP. And Kaito, of course. I think it'd be crazy to take out Dazes. They're a Lotus Petal deck. But, man, Caverns. Such a powerful card. I think we just run it like this. I don't want to bring in Barrowgoyf. Man, do I bring in Barrowgoyf? I mean, Barrowgoyf on Barrowgoyf combat. They both die. Barrowgoyf is an answer to a Barrowgoyf. I feel like he's just too much mana. Yeah. Like, this comes in against, like, Eldrazi and, like, Moonstompy and stuff like that. But it doesn't, like, I feel like it just is wrong to board it in against Doomsday of all things. Nethergoyfs are plenty good, assuming our opponent doesn't have triple uncounterable Barrowgoyfs. It was a miracle that we won that game. Okay, this hand is fine. I mean, it's a draw on the draw hand with Tamiyo, double days. I'm not going to pitch this. This is not a great hand, but it's not a terrible hand. Don't turn 1 me, please. Okay. Are you going to turn 1 me? Okay, good. But they do have the days now, so if they have the Dark Ritual, we're not stopping the combo. Okay, that is a bad rip. I think we do play out the Underground Sea. They're not going to do anything about it, I don't think. This might get dazed, which I'd be okay with. I'm not going to daze back just to take their pedal. This matchup improves so much if we can get out of the early turns. Dark Ritual, okay. Sure. What are you going to cast at instant speed with 3 black mana? Bowmasters, that's fine. I can't do anything about that. Interesting choice of sequencing there. They may have a second one. I can just block. Okay. I mean, I'm not sure about that play. You did prevent me from flipping her, but I wasn't going to flip her anyway. But there's no way that my opponent knows that. Oh, no. Barrowgoyf mana. Okay. So this is Kaito? Oh, man. If they have Kaito, it's so broken. So busted. And I can't do a damn thing about it. All right. So I do want them to pull this back to hand. But at the same time, I don't want them to... Yeah, I have to block here. I think it's a mistake to block there. So here comes Kaito. They're just like... Probably Doomsday isn't even in their deck anymore. They're just playing freaking fair. Yeah, there's Kaito. I do have answers to him in my deck. I have the Molten Collapses. Once again, we are praying for Molten Collapse. Okay, Kaito to Surveil, immediately getting value. Our hand looks pretty pathetic here. And there was nothing I could have done. Like it's not like I could have like somehow stopped this from coming into play. They just had... Okay, that's a pretty damn good card. And we can force it through with Bowmasters. I don't want to give them a turn with it out. And they did pick up the actual thing and not the Bowmasters. All right, and by playing this out proactively, we will have double days. I feel like if we wait, we can potentially ambush Kaito, but it doesn't do a lot. Let's see. Yeah, I'll have double days. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go ahead and get the Valk. And this might actually spook him a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and do this first. See if I can kill this. Please force. Daze. Okay, I shall daze back. This is important. They definitely have the advantage here. But us having Bowmaster superiority is a big deal. I will happily let them attack me. My life total is not that big of a deal. I do want to create the clue here just for value. We still have the daze. I don't like relying on it, but I will rely on it to stop their Bowmaster. Their hand is 1 land, 2 unknown. And Kaito hurts them. They could try scaling up Kaito. I don't think that's a good strategy here. Okay, yeah, they're just scaling him up. I mean, if I just block here, it saves 4 damage. How much do I worry about my life in this matchup? I'm just going to let it go. I guess I could... No, because I can attack back for 2 and knock some loyalty off. I think I'm just going to let them keep hitting me. And here comes Tommy. That's fine. This does defend him. Okay. Thoughtseize is painful. Pretty painful. Let's think about this. I'm going to play out the land they know about. I am going to Thoughtseize them. I should have actually played out of the fetch because if I found a Fatal Push, I would want to push this out of the way. These are bad cards as long as Bowmaster remains on the table. I'll take the Ponder, and I'm just going to try to keep Bowmaster on the table, frankly. I'm going to Ponder now. I mean, if we can stop this Kaito, there's the Pyroblast. Okay, we got it. So I just need to... I'll take the Force now, just in case they draw something that must be countered. Pyro will take care of Kaito. And I can just keep this back. Take 4, 5. And then Pyro, and then the game's maybe over. I'm going to create clues. I think is there any value in keeping this back? I already attacked. Yeah, I decided to just keep it back. So now they know I'm going to probably have Pyro, because like, why wouldn't I have gotten the damage on there? Okay, so we have perfect information of their... No, we don't have... They drew some card. So we'll know whether we need to force something. I want to keep this around. Okay. That was pretty important, keeping this around. So they're going to plus... I'm just going to chump one more time so I don't have to lose so much life. And then next turn, we're going to Pyro, and we're going to have a lot of action up. Their hand is Brainstorm that they are not going to be casting. Okay. Let's go ahead and Pyro here. While we know they have nothing going on. Pretty important play. They could Brainstorm if they wanted to desperately cling to survival here. I don't think it hurts to attack with both. We get a clue here. I am going to fetch and clue crack now. We know our top card is a land, I believe. I'll just get a Badlands. I don't think it really matters. Okay, that's a good rip, assuming that they do not rip a Brainstorm or a Bowmaster right now. If they rip a Bowmaster, we could actually lose for this position. They're not attacking. Okay, this is great for us. That's not a good draw. I'm pretty scared to Brainstorm here. I'm going to play this out just in case. I do want to get rid of that island. So we're doing 1 damage here. I think we don't Brainstorm just out of respect for, like, if they have it, it's so devastating. Like, we just lose. And if we just play patiently, we don't necessarily lose. I can Surveil in the end step, or I can draw off clues. So they can attack in. If they have a second Kaito, it would be devastating. And I know they do play a second Kaito. They can hit us for 5. They don't come in. Okay, they're fetching. If this is like a Barragoyf, I am absolutely going to dig for like a Force. There's the Barragoyf. Right on schedule. Okay, so options. I think first things first, we want to crack a clue, and then we want to Brainstorm. Yeah, I'll do it like that. Clue. Okay, Tommy. So I am going to Brainstorm here. Just trying to, in case I find a Force. It's one other way that I can potentially end this thing. Okay, we found Kaito, which is great. We can just play out Kaito and stun. Yeah, these cards are insane. So I'm going to put back the 2 lands. We know they don't have days, and I don't think it's likely that they have days later. All right, so this does resolve. I'm going to Surveil. We're using the whole whale here. Trying to find one of our kill spells. There it is. Okay. I'm feeling very good about this game. I've got 6 minutes to win. So we will start by plussing here. I'm going to crack a clue. Draw a card. I'm going to go ahead and push this. We know their hand is Brainstorm. Play this out. Come in for a hug. There's no point in attacking, really. They have to block. Just out of respect for Tommy. So if they attempt to Brainstorm out of like total lack of things to do, we're ready. And if they don't, I can just crack the clue in the end step. If they Bowmaster our Bowmaster, we have an answer to that. Okay, they drew a Surveillant for turn. I'm going to definitely put this in and just bump up the pressure. They may Brainstorm in response just to hopefully get some value for that Brainstorm. They could potentially find like a daze. Black, blue, Bowmasters. We are still potentially dead to Doomsday. Like, it would be rough for sure. Okay, that Brainstorm in their hand is like completely dead weight now. We could just regrow the Pyro, get this out of the way. If they want to Brainstorm, that's death for them. I think they're already super duper dead. Yeah, I'll do it. Let's get this Pyroblast back. And if you would like to keep this alive, you're welcome to. It will cost you your life most likely. Just getting it out of the way. We could definitely hold it for later, but I just want to press my advantage here. And we will go ahead and Kaito for good measure, and then we'll also drop the Goyf. And I should have technically done it in a different... Well, we know what's in their hand, so it doesn't matter. But like it's a good habit to use Kaito last. They're so far behind. Now, nothing saves them, basically. Take some damage. I'm going to go ahead and cash in. I'll just do that. Let's look at the up 2 cards. Force of Will is actually pretty good. Another Goyf goes to the graveyard and it buffs this other Goyf, and we can bring it back later. Let's take this. I feel like we've absolutely won. We just need to do the combat damage. They are dead next turn. Let's see, 4, 8. They're not quite dead. Just going to force that. They are making me work for it. Yeah, they said this all came down to that Daze fight, right? Not converting my Brainstorm punish me. Yeah, I seem to recall Daze being a very critical card. Let's see what we draw here. Thoughtseize. We already have it, that type. I'm going to plus here. And we'll just attack for like practically lethal. Again, like nothing they can do is going to stop me, I don't think. They're not going to be able to Doomsday here with 1 life. I'll just pass. Okay, and they are showing themselves the door with massive damage from these Bowmasters. Bowmaster supremacy. Live it, learn it, love it. I have to click through these, unfortunately. My opponent is not scooping. They are making me actually click it. All right, we have plenty of time, though. That was an exciting match. Like, fighting through those 3 Beargoyfs was definitely the highlight of the league so far. Come on, don't do this to me. That is so cheeky. All right, whatever. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and just get them to -11 here. I don't think it will actually go to -11. One of these will resolve, and then that'll be the end of the game. I am at 4. If I were a goofy man, I'd ping myself down to 1, but I don't count on myself like not screwing that up somehow. All right, we pass priority. They pass priority. GG's as always. So we are 3-1. These have been exciting games. We haven't really played up against that much combo. Well, actually, yeah, 2 combo matches. That was kind of like, it felt like barely combo with blue-black tempo, but without all the removal. I don't know. I don't know about, like, I think one of the strengths of blue-black tempo is that you get to play the 4 fatal pushes, and you get to play cards like Brazen Borrower and stuff. And I don't know that just jamming a bunch of Beargoyfs in your deck and simulating playing blue-black tempo is good enough. Because a lot of decks like mine are just going to be totally prepared for Beargoyf. Not necessarily prepared for Merc, but Beargoyf is dead to Fatal Push. All right, and it looks like we're going to get a double header of Doomsday opponents. This hand is pretty good against Doomsday. We're on the play. They are not necessarily on Doomsday, but they almost always play Doomsday. I think this is fine. They do not play... Yeah, I mean, if they're not on Doomsday, this is what they've been playing for the past month or so. 3 months. Congratulations, Neville Shoot, on first place in a Legacy Challenge. That's awesome. Okay. Let's keep... And I think what we do here is we just open Thoughtseize. Like, against the Doomsday opponent, the way they get you is they just, like, get a fast Doomsday. If they don't, we've got plenty of game. The fact that we have 1 land is not that big of a deal because we're likely to daze something. In fact, we might even want to, like, Thoughtseize in a way that builds in the fact that we're likely dazing as part of the decision. So we may want to leave a powerful 1-drop like a Ponder. I know I just said powerful 1-drop like Ponder, and a few videos ago I was saying, oh, they're on this. Okay, well, they only have 1 land. Defense Grid is pretty good. Mind's Desire is good if they get exactly the mana they need, which they're never going to get if they Manamorphose. I think actually Manamorphose might be the card. Defense Grid is definitely the most annoying card there. So this is like Epic Gamble maybe, or maybe it's just Mind's Desire in a Ruby Storm shell. I think we take the Defense Grid. Because structurally, like, we don't have a way to deal with it if it comes out. Yeah, I'm going to take it. Because the next turn, we can drop the Goyf. If they draw some sort of red spell that does anything, I'm going to happily daze it because I just want to get an instant in my graveyard for Nethergoyf. And I want to get a card out of their hand. Wait, did they draw that or was that their land? They did draw that. Okay, next time don't show me that you have that. But maybe they're afraid of Wasteland. Okay, that makes sense. They didn't want to show me. They didn't want me to waste them. Okay, so we have perfect information on their hand. Seething Song costs 3 mana. We got to stop them from getting there. Land would be fine. Bowmaster is not a great card in the matchup. Like, aside from this Metamorphosis, I don't think they actually draw cards with their deck. So the question here is, do we want to Tommy and Tommy flip instead of going the Nethergoyf route? It is safer, for sure, because, Nethergoyf's not going to hit for a lot here. I think I am going to actually play with the Tommy. Because Tommy flip is 4-turn clock, and if they keep whiffing on lands, they need to get 3 mana to get the Seething Song going, and we can daze it. Right? They're going to surveil. Yeah, Nethergoyf would be probably like a 5 or 6 turn clock. We'd have to do some stuff to get him leveled up. And I want to brainstorm away this Bowmaster and this Fatal Push. I think they're both terrible in the matchup. Okay, so now they do have Metamorphosis up. That's okay. It's not phenomenal. Let's get our clue, and then I'm going to brainstorm. I think it's extremely unlikely they have interaction for this. And I'm very glad that I took the defense grid because we would have had to daze that, and we might need to daze something else later. So I'm going to see if I can get a better land than this Undercity Sewer. All right, we did. Okay, so I'll put this back. I'm going to put back the Fatal Push. I don't think it matters. I'd rather have the land. We got double daze up. She flips. I will get the Goyf out now. Next turn, we do have Bowmasters. I'm not going to show that I'm playing red. I've got another land if I do draw my 1 red spell, which is not even consequential in the matchup. Okay, now we're applying pressure in 2 axes, on 2 axes. I think that turn 1 Thoughtseize was pretty important. Like, they may ramp up sufficiently with their Seething Songs and stuff. That's fine. I'm not going to go after that. Seething Song is a beating. It's just so much mana, and they can almost always find interesting things to do with it. Desperate Ritual spliced onto Arcane. This is fine. I'm going to get the Seething Song out of their hand. Yeah, I'll just counter that. Because if I splice this actually stops a card from their hand. Unless they have a Spirit Guide. And I do have a second daze. Okay, perfect. All right. So the question is, do we want to just regrow this Thoughtseize and just go the damage route? There's an argument for doing that since we have the Bowmaster. Our life total probably doesn't mean anything here. We can take one of their more meaningful cards and I can just surveil away a bad card that's probably on top of my deck. Okay, so we're giving up on the Tamio Ultimate plan, just to be clear. But I think it's worth it to just chip away at their hand. They scoop. Okay, that was the right call then, probably. The call that results in your opponent scooping is probably a right call. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab these cards. There can be situations where that's not true. I think Pyroblast could come in. They're playing a lot of Valks over there. I do think that Fatal Push is a dud here. I think Molten Collapse is probably a dud. Meltdown is probably okay because at the very least it answers the defense grid. It feels pretty mediocre, but we're cutting a lot of cards. We could cut Daze. I don't think it matters. Bobble is one of those cards where it's just kind of like, eh. Are we going to try to tempo them? Yeah. So maybe we keep these in. They're not. It's not a Bowmaster mirror. I would definitely take these out if they were playing Bowmasters. Nethergoyf is the best card to pressure by far, but there's a high likelihood that they're playing the draw 7 card Echo of Eons. So Bowmasters have to stay in. Kaito is a blue card for force. I think that's argument enough for keeping him. We cut a land. We could actually cut this island. Or no, I'm going to cut the bad lands. I don't think they're likely going to go after my land. And I don't want to have too low of a blue... Like, bad lands can really punish you when you draw it, but you're not going to get punished by drawing an island generally. I think Brazen Borrower could potentially come out. We have 23 blue cards, 28. We could take out the Meltdown. I think Borrower is probably okay against defense. They can just play it. They may have Moxen. I don't know about Molten. I think I'm going to not play it this game. And then the other cards I'm going to take out. Thoughtseize is really good against them. I guess I will trim the baubles. It sucks, but I think it's fine. Like, I don't know what else to cut, and I don't want to cut any of my wastes. They're a big mana deck, and if you can stop them from being able to get their big mana spells off, that's something. This seems like a perfectly serviceable hand. Hydroblast is great here. Daze. Kaito's slow, but we do have Tamio to enable. I'm going to keep this on the strength of Tamio into Kaito. They are almost certainly going to have Pyroblast in. That's something to note. Murktide is not the best draw here. I am going to get Tommy out. I'm not going to show them red again. They don't know about red yet. I think it's extremely unlikely they're playing like Blood Moon or anything like that. If they are, they've got me. I mean, yeah, they'll get me. I'm not going to fetch the basic island in this game. I just like having it in there because I want to make sure all my opening hands have a blue source. So I try to get like 14 or 15 blue sources in my deck. Like fetches and lands they can play. They can cast Ponder to draw into other lands if necessary. Nothing's worse than drawing like a bad lands or a swamp and having an otherwise perfectly serviceable hand. Okay, so now I do think that it's correct to bring in Meltdown, and I will be bringing it in next game. They put a Mind's Desire under there. Helm of Awakening. Spells cost... Okay, so we're definitely bringing in Meltdown. Yeah, that's fine. This actually helps me too. No, it doesn't really help me with Kaito. Actually, it has no impact on my deck. It would make Bowmasters cheaper. Okay, I do think I'm going to attack and then I'm going to flip. And then hopefully I draw into some more interaction. This is a really cool card from your Weatherlight. What format? What set is that in? Visions. Okay, so I will put back a land for sure. And I don't think Merc is where we want to be. Because Kaito helps us draw while attacking. Merc could just be Pyroblasted. Yeah, I'll put Merc back. Okay, she flips. Well, plus, we'll just hold up Hydroblast. Hydroblast and Daze. Daze is a lot weaker when they've got Helm of Awakening out. This is actually a really good card against tempo decks because we simply don't really benefit from it, and they almost certainly do. Their rituals, or like their red rituals, are now functionally dark rituals. It's pretty powerful. And if they just have a ton of mana, like I just have to hope the last card in the chain is Hydroblastable. I'm not going to counter that. Ancient Tomb. Okay. Our soft remission is pretty terrible. I do have to counter this. I mean, I could get an island here and just not counter it this turn. But it does have to be countered. I can regrow. If I get the island, which I should get. It's a good precaution. I'll get the island and then I will just Pyroblast this on the stack. And this might be a bait spell. Maybe they got some crazy thing they're going to do later. I guess we could just let it resolve and then we could Pyroblast later. Because if they do something like, you know, do their whole hand, I want to be able to get rid of it. All right. I'm just going to Hydroblast here. If this fails, I can just regrow and Hydroblast again next turn. I'm glad I kept the island in. All right. I think we plus here. They're low enough in resources. Wasteland to take out the Tomb. They're obviously like a big mana deck. I can just play Kaito. I don't know how good that is. I think I'm better off pondering, and I can keep one or more of the cards. Let's do that. They're down to 2 cards over there. Thoughtseize would be great. Murktide is... it's just not really what I'm looking for. We could start wasting them a lot. I don't think that's the right axis. I think we want to find a Thoughtseize. Can we find a Thoughtseize? Oh, we found a card that's terrible. Can we find a Brainstorm? Let's see if we can find that Brainstorm. I don't have the ability to shuffle away the Brainstorm, sadly. They're considering maybe Pyroblasting here. They could Pyroblast Tommy. I think the fact that they likely have... Nethergoyf would be how big? 3-4. I do want to apply pressure, but I just think that these cards are not the right angle to apply pressure. Let's see. A Murktide would be a 4. Murktide would be big. I feel like I'm going to any order shuffle and see what I get. I probably just get a land. Okay, Force. That's really good here. I think what we do here is we just plus and we waste. I'll waste the Ancient Tomb. They're clearly a mana-hungry deck, and that is 2 mana that we just dealt with. Next turn, we can Kaito, just cast him from hand, and then maybe like plus him, I guess, because we won't be able to do anything else unless our opponent somehow loses life. But if we can Tommy Ultimate, that's insane. I think we let this happen. They could definitely do the thing at the end of the chain. If we stop this, I feel like there's a good chance that the last card in the hand is not Crazy Storm Spell. I'm going to do it. There is very much a risk, but like, yeah. I don't know. Maybe that last card is like a Storm Spell. Maybe I just punted. Stock up. Okay, that's fine. They get it immediately, so they could do more stuff. Yeah, maybe that was a punt. Like, definitely stopping the stock up would be way more important than stopping a random draw off the top. But it did go after their mana a little bit, and like I'm still 2 turns away from Tommy, so I am certainly willing to acknowledge that was most likely a punt. Best draw on our... Oh, we could just regrow the Force, I guess. But we're not getting any closer to victory. Okay. They burned off the mana. All right, let's see if we draw. Thoughtseize is the best card. Merc. Okay, let's think about this. So Merc does put them on a 2-turn clock, but they just stocked up and they've got tons of mana. We could just get a Kaito down. We could also just plus and let's crack this clue. If I can find a Thoughtseize, it's so good. Or a Brainstorm. Yeah, I know you're probably thinking like, what the hell are you doing? Like, why don't you just get like the power spells back? Force negation. Okay, now I think we can Tommy ultimate. So that's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try to protect Tommy and just make it through this turn and then we win. I will force negation, Hydroblast. That's their last card, or a Pyroblast rather. If they have the Pyroblast right now and they just go for it during my turn, that's a tragedy. But, you know, what is the saying about like, you know, failing while daring greatly? That's basically what we're doing here. We have to stop some critical spell that generates enough mana for them to win. I'm going to let that helm happen. If I stop this and I have to stop this. Merc ends the game very quickly if they fizzle. Kaito ends the game much slower. I'm going to trust in Merc being able to get it done. We have plenty of cards in our graveyard. So now they could, in theory, let's see, 1, 2. They only have 1 card. Okay. Well, that closed it out. We 4-1'd it. This list feels insane. The only games we lost we lost, I think, 1 game against Doomsday. No, we lost several games. That felt amazing. Yeah, I wish these were on my other account so I could join in the Legacy Challenge. I didn't realize I was going to do so well. Okay, so this is a great list. My only suggestions, my only edits that I will make when I play this list again are to bump up the spell bombs. I think being able to bring back Nethergoyf is so good, and I think spell bomb is just insane. So other than that, the list feels incredible. Like, I love how Mr. Usea, aka Parker, how he splits the Hydroblast. Like, he is a Hydroblast connoisseur like myself. Hydroblast was important in that final round there. I love the Baragorphs in the side. I think it's a better sideboard card than a main deck card because a lot of matchups they have like Eldrazi spawn tokens or something like that, and or you're up against like in a Tempo Mirror. It just takes. It's hard to cast him, is what I'm trying to say, and he doesn't pitch to Force. There are lots of matchups where Murktide's functionally dead, like that last matchup. Like, it's like, okay, yeah, I can win, like, but there's no way I'm going to have 3 turns to win with Murktide against this combo deck. But Murktide pitches to Force. Baragorph does not pitch to Force, and that is a huge negative in Baragorph's book. But I have been very impressed with Baragorph. So, like, this is probably how I'd run it. Meltdown as a one-of feels amazing. Molten Collapse is an amazing card. I think Fatal Push, like, this is a tempo deck, but like, I could see the argument for playing 2 of these main deck. It's just so versatile. But I also like the fact that like we can completely hide the fact that we're red game 1, and then we can Pyroblast. Pyroblast was very clutch against Kaito, against the second Doomsday opponent. Or the first Doomsday. I guess we only played against Doomsday once because the second one was some sort of Ruby Storm build. But you can see that this deck disassembles combo. Pyroblast is just another tool for disassembling combo. And sometimes your combo opponent is on red. And Hydroblast is good. We did get some kind of like matchups that I don't think are like really representative. Well, just the Sliver matchup. I don't think you're likely to face Sliver. You are likely to face Oops. If you don't like losing to Oops, play more Force Negation is my advice. You could definitely just swap out maybe... I don't know what you would cut from the sideboard. The sideboard is very tight. But this is the list that I would play if I were going to do another league with this, and I certainly will. I'm very impressed with the red splash. I think the green splash with Witherbloom is fine too. And you can throw like a bargain in there, but bargain's kind of cute. Like games where you're like winning because of bargain, like why not just play Baragorf in that slot? Is my question, because Baragorf is a 3-drop that like if the game progresses to that point, Baragorf is kind of like I win the game card. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Again, congratulations to Parker for winning back-to-back leagues with his 5-0ing 2 back-to-back leagues. That is not a small accomplishment. And to everybody out there who's continuing to play tempo, we're not settled. There's still a lot up in the air, but in my mind, like 4 Nethergoyfs, 3 to 4 Tamio, and 2 Kaito, and 4 Bowmasters. That seems to be a winning combination. I personally would definitely play the 4th Tamio, but I don't know what I would cut here. I would probably cut a Bobble. In fact, you know what I would do? I love Bobble. Bobble was nice. It gave us some insight. But what I'd probably do, if I were to like actually take control and like build this deck out, is I would change that, and then I would play the 4th Tamio. I think she's just in a tempo deck. She's just so good. And yes, you will occasionally draw redundant ones, but this league was more than probably anything just a demonstration of how powerful Tamio is. She is a great card. So I would probably play it like this. I think it's fine to play 3 days and 3 Wasteland. You are stepping a little bit off the gas, but Tamio is just such a good card. Oh my goodness. It is a little harder to flip her without those bobbles. But you get like the graveyard control in this Nile Spellbomb, which is so much more impactful than those bobbles. And the fact that like you're not completely screwed if your opponent's on a Bowmaster deck, like those bobbles feel really bad when your opponent's playing Bowmasters. And Bowmasters are everywhere right now because frankly, blue-black is the best thing to be doing in Legacy, in my humble opinion. I think blue-black tempo is the best deck. It's the deck to beat, and look forward to facing it a lot. And thankfully, it's a very thought-provoking matchup. It's a little more exciting and interesting, and the games go longer than like blue-red tempo, for example. And it's definitely a thinking person's deck. Until next time, be excellent to each other and party on.